Oh, you damn right. It's time for House Divided on a hump day. Somebody threw, what did it come in? Yes, Barb's 10. Hump day. That is correct. There's good news and there's bad news. Let's start with the bad news. No Jeff Ketchum today. He's still getting over that sickness. My man did 2 shows yesterday while almost vomiting the whole time. I have no idea how he kept it together, but he did. So he's recovering from that. But I think there's also some work that he's got to take care of today because he's always working. He's the hardest working man in the business. So we hope Catch gets to feeling better and gets all the business taken care of. The good news is that this guy, Jason Suchomel of Orange Bloods, is stepping in. That guy right there. Normally, he and I do the recruiting show. We just took the recruiting show. We moved it to the House Divided slot. So it's plenty of recruiting. It'll be other stuff, too. We'll react to the CFP and all that. Jason, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just plowing through this week. It's not really hump day for us, though, I was thinking, because we don't really have a hump day because we work Saturday and
Right.
Sunday and every day during
That's
the week.
true.
I don't know what hump day would be for us, Chad, but we'll call today hump day, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, I always feel like when I actually get to sit and take a breath and watch the NFL, that kind of feels like somehow of a hump day, but it doesn't
That's the
really make.
closest thing for me. But then usually I'm calling recruits on Sunday afternoon. I'm
Yeah.
editing Catch's story before he posts his 10 thoughts. So truly taking a day off for me, like, doesn't even, dude, last or 2 weeks ago, I was in St. Martin in the Caribbean. I was filing content.
Yep.
So my wife always says, dude, you need to know what a vacation really means. Like, actually take a vacation. But not hump day for us, brother, but it's a good day today. I'm having a good day.
Hey, the people appreciate all that hard work that you do, and they're going to benefit from it today, just like they always do. First off, let's remind you that if you head over to orangebloods.com, you can find that 321 article for the week. In fact, there's all kinds of Suchomel content this week. You got the 321 article. There's an update on a guy we're going to talk about. There's an update on a visitor that we'll mention today for the Texas-Florida game. So check that out at orangebloods.com. But that's not all, Jason Suchomel fans, because if you have ever wanted to meet Jason Suchomel, I think this may be your week. This is your opportunity because it's these 2 faces that you're going to see out at TCH Social. Jason is going to make his way over there. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. Those specials start an hour before at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. kick. Come do kegs and eggs with us. I think they have eggs at TCH Social. I'm sure they'll figure something out for Saturday. We're going to be watching on this big, beautiful screen in a screen within a screen, the 16:1 with 4 4:1 surrounding it. It's unbelievable. We're going to make sure the games are dialed up. Let me just take a peek here. Purdue, Ohio State's going on at the same time. Little Miami, Georgia Tech. That'll be going on at the same time, and we'll get all that figured out. So come out and see us. And then Jason and I will be doing the post-game show right here on Orange Bloods Live because Jeff Ketchum, family man, is coming to Austin, bringing the wife and kids and going to the game. Jason, you've known Jeff Ketchum a minute. You've known him a while. What could go wrong? I mean, bringing the family, wife and kids to Austin, I'm sure there'll be a completely event, just no big events, no big drama, just in and out, and they'll have a great time, right?
Yeah, it's to be a stress-free day for Catch, I'm sure,
Yeah.
taking the kids to their first game. He even said, like, the kids aren't big football fans. He said maybe this will jumpstart them. Who knows? My kids are kind of the same way. They weren't big football fans. I got them tickets to, I think it was the UTEP or UTSA game this year, my daughters, and now they're like beating me over the head every week. Hey, can I get tickets to the game? So, like, be careful, Catch. You may open a can of worms here with your kids and football.
You created a monster, is what you're saying.
I got multiple monsters.
Multiple monsters going on.
And it's not my son; he doesn't care. But my 3 daughters, they're all about football and baseball, and they want to go anywhere and everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, S. Roan. I don't know if a chatathon is what I would call it, but I will be there at.
I'm really looking forward to that. I've never been to. I don't play poker. Someone in the chat said that Suchomel's wife led him that close to gambling. Yeah, dude, I'm a Vegas dude, so she doesn't love it, but yeah, I'm a Vegas dude. Now, I don't play poker, but I'm looking forward to going to TCH Social just to check out that, what is that, biggest screen in Austin and hang out with you, Chad, talk a little recruiting, talk a little football. If anybody watching this show, come on out, man. We'll talk some recruiting. We'll talk some football while we're watching the game. Should be a good time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That screen is amazing. Like it's just
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
yeah, it's great. And as we always say, that big old screen is kind of the big feature, but there are TVs all over that place. It's such a big space because of all the poker tables. But if you just want to come watch games, they can put any game pretty much anywhere. And if you want to go off and go kind of a corner by yourself and just watch, you can, or come hang out with us in that lounge area. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, so let's get to it because Tex Guy is way too savvy for us, Jason. He knows that we know that y'all aren't just going to show up if we put Chad and Jason are going to have a show. You got to have something in there, right? And the teaser, the title was about a 5-star that Texas just added. Now, the technicality to that is the guy they added a 5-star today, or is he going to be a 5-star at some point? So let's dig into this thing because, Jason, when I saw the story about the update on Zealous Hicks, the first thing I think of is, well, here we go. Modern day recruiting story, reclassification. This certainly did not happen a lot back in the day. When do you remember, like during your time covering recruiting, when did you first hear about this idea of kids going to reclassify and jump into an earlier class?
You know what? The honest answer, Quinn Ewers.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. That's the first one I remember.
Yeah. I mean, first one was on my radar. Maybe there's probably somebody before Quinn, right? But I sure can't think of it. And nobody that I've ever covered. So this is still a fairly new development. You're starting to see a little bit more and more of it. You see 2 or 3, 4 guys. You know, Ryan Williams did it last year for Alabama, of course. There have been a couple guys in this class, this 2025 class, 2026 class, I guess, moving to 2025. So we've seen that with Jakeem Stewart, the #1 player in the country. Zealous Hicks, now the Texas commitment announced yesterday. You know, this one's been in the works, Chad, for a while, but it's always been kind of, you know, I may do it, I may not. When I first heard about it back in the summer, I saw Zealous at the Rivals 5-star, and that's when we kind of start hearing, okay, this could possibly happen. But to answer your question, yeah, this is still a very new thing. It's pretty uncommon still, but you know, Texas benefited with Quinn Ewers, I guess, and we'll see if they benefit with Zealous Hicks. It's certainly an interesting choice by Zealous.
Yeah. So again, Zealous Hicks, like you said, a UT commit, already was in the 26 class, and he is let me see if I can do it right, a safety out of the DFW area. It's Carrollton? No.
Carrollton, Georgia.
Oh, Carrollton, Georgia. I do that every time. Okay.
We've had that conversation before.
Yes,
Carrollton,
I'm sorry.
Georgia. But he does have family in the DFW area, so you're not too far off.
Zealous, my bad. I want everybody to be from DFW because I'm a Waxahachie guy, so I just love the DFW stories. Zealous, my bad. So from Georgia, but a safety, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Gotcha. So in the general, maybe it's not even general terms, in his case, you mentioned sort of I don't know, how much do you look at this as the risk he's taking or like the logic behind it for you? How are you seeing this? What's the argument, I guess, that Zealous is going to be making for himself?
You know, it's interesting. And Ketch and I had this discussion a while back when this was kind of possibly on the table. In terms of depth chart, I think he would have probably been better staying in the 2026 class. Texas has some really good young safeties. They got Jonah Williams coming in this class, and Jonah, you know, suffered a season-ending injury, but he'll be fine. Should be fine when he gets to campus in January. So he's coming in with a lot of young talent suddenly, right, by enrolling in this 2025 class. And I don't know the answer to this. Someone asked me on Orange Bloods today, but they said, hey, will he be enrolling in January? I said, I don't think so, because that would mean he's graduating a year and a half early, right? And this was kind of touch and go whether or not he was going to be able to graduate a full year early. So I don't think he'll graduate early. I think he'll probably enroll in Texas in May, okay, in the summer. I guess late May, the beginning of summer. So not only is he coming into a pretty loaded defensive backfield with some talented young safeties, he's also coming in. He's not getting that benefit of going through spring football before he starts his freshman year, okay, if you will, the way Jonah Williams will or any of these other guys who enroll early. So it's an interesting decision, but, you know, Zealous is a very mature, intelligent guy. I think he might be old for his class. Like I remember catch hearing that like his birthday, so he's kind of older for his class. But I think he just is a guy that probably wants to just get his career started academically, athletically. I mean, Zealous is a guy that, listen, he's a fantastic player. He probably has visions and dreams of playing in the NFL, okay, realistically. But he's also a guy, just knowing what I know about Zealous, my conversations with him, his family, his aunt was the former district attorney up in Dallas. So, I think Zealous is also a guy that has visions beyond football. So he probably says, hey, let's get started on my college career, get my degree. Hopefully I go to the NFL. But if not, whatever he wants to do in life, get started on that a little bit earlier, a year earlier. So interesting decision to me in terms of, okay, you're walking into the Lions den in terms of a lot of talent on that roster, a lot of young talents. But, he's a very talented player, obviously. He's a potential 5-star player. So he should be able to hold his own. He's just going to have to accelerate things a little bit quicker than some of these other guys.
Yeah, I want to get into that exactly with you. The ranking discussion now becomes interesting for Zealous Hicks. We'll get into that. We did get some good chats coming in. Remember, if you send us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. Tyler, it's well done. We did know that Ryan Williams is 17 years old. Yes, that is kind of the thing that always gets mentioned. How about this name, Jason? Brandon says he Googled it, and John David Booty is the first high school recruit to reclassify.
Okay, I remember John David Booty, of course. I don't remember him reclassifying, but that's going pretty far back. So that was well before Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I did not realize that. So thank you for that clarification. If you send us a super chat, again, it will go right to the top of the list. So Jason, in terms of this now reclassification, talk to me about the ranking, because as I'm reading through your notes on Zealous, I see the idea from you. It says a possible 5-star. So I'm looking current rankings at 4-star. So now that he's, pushed the timeline this way, how do you think the assessment of Zealous Hicks changes, or does it change? And then when could he become a 5-star if that's what he is?
He's ranked number 29 in the 2026 class. So if he was to hold that position, if he would have stayed in the 2026 class and held that position, he would be a 5-star. Okay. When we're talking a year from now, okay, a full year from now. By him reclassifying, it might be tough. Let me tell you to hold on to that 5-star status. For instance, Jakeem Stewart, let me pull this up, was the number 1 ranked player in the 2026 class. Easy, pretty strong consensus there. He reclassified to 2025, and he's now the number 4 ranked player in the class. Okay. Traditionally, when guys reclassify, maybe they take a little bit of a dip in their ranking. And for Zealous to do this, he's number 29. If he drops, let's say, 5 to 10 spots, that's going to take him out of 5-star. He's going to be a really, really high 4-star guard, right on the boundary there of 5-star status. But if he dips a little bit, he won't quite be a 5-star. And also, he's doing it in November, where there aren't many more rankings updates, okay, for Zealous Hicks, where he's going to move up or down. I'm assuming probably will not be playing in any of the All-Star games unless that changes and someone invites him really late. So he's not going to have that opportunity, be it his senior season now, whatever he has left in his senior season, or at Under Armour or which is now the Navy All-American Bowl. He's not going to have those opportunities unless something changes. He won't have those opportunities to really go out and make an impression and boost that ranking back up. So as it stands right now, he would have been a 5-star if he stayed in the 2026 class. By him moving to the 2025, I don't know this yet. They haven't adjusted his ranking, and that won't happen until the next ranking update. But I would think he'll probably be just outside of that 5-star status.
Yeah, and for the record, if National Signing Day is right there at the beginning of December, is there a re-ranking moment before then or not?
You know what? I never know when they're going to update those rankings. They just did one pretty recently. The next one, I think, Chad, will be in January. They do one right after the All-American games. Okay, so
right.
I don't think they'll do one in December, but I honestly don't know for certain. Those I'm not involved in those, and sometimes you guys updated the rankings. Okay, good to know.
So by the time we get to February, old signing day, now just kind of that other signing day. Once we get to that point, if he indeed is going to get a 5-star ranking, there'll be an opportunity by the time you get to that second day.
Yeah, and usually they'll do one like I said, after the bowl game, the All-American bowl games, and then that'll kind of be the final one right before, I believe the last one is right before that second signing day, which you said used to be the big signing day. Now it's like Suchomel's going to take a nap day because there's nothing going on second signing day. Like I still get up early every year and I'm at the computer at 6 in the morning. Like, okay, what's going to happen today? And it's like, what am I doing? There's absolutely nothing going on today. So it's just a wasted day almost. Yeah.
Yes, NSD is the first one, but NSND, National Suchomel Nap Day, is the second one. that's the difference. That's fantastic. All right, we'll grab a couple chats here. We got some other recruiting stuff to get into because since Jason and I have talked recruiting, there was a Michael Fasusi update of some sort. So we have to get that to you. We'll do that. Let's get a couple chats in here. Ryan jumps in. Oh, Ryan Crow. What's up, Ryan? Hope you guys hang out at TCH after the game. I'm going to the game, but plan to stop by afterwards to say hello. I do believe that Ryan is connected to TCH. Ryan, look forward to maybe meeting you in person, and we'll definitely be there for the post-game show.
Yeah, we'll be there for a couple hours, so yeah.
And hey, that's normally lasted an hour, hour and a half, depending on the game. A couple have gone 2 hours. So I'll be honest with you, Ryan, and everybody watching, for the sake of everything involved, I hope this is not a 2-hour post game because I don't think that'll be good news, Jason, if we have a 2-hour.
Yeah, let's hope it's a blowout and we can pretty much cover everything pretty quickly. But I'm looking forward, dude, like, I'm going to be there obviously for the post game. And Ryan, if you come by, I'll hang out for a little bit after and just where I can totally like decompress and have a couple beers and just watch football. Heck yeah, dude. So come on by and ping me on an email, Jason at Orange Blood or something. Let me know you're on the way and I'll stay and hang out with you.
Yep, I may very well do the same thing. My wife is on the Girl Scout camping trip this weekend. So
you know what? Actually, Ryan, I may stay there the whole damn day and the whole night because Chad heard this before we went on the air. We're moving my mother-in-law into a house closer to us on Friday and Saturday. Yeah. So anything I can do to stay at work on Friday and Saturday, man,
come on out, meet Jason, and he'll hand you his phone and tell you not to give it back to him.
I may close the Texas Card House down on Saturday night. Now that I think about it, so,
good idea. Our man Barb's 10 jumps in, says heading back home to Cuero. Hope to catch you next time, Chad and Jason at Orange Bloods. Barb's 10 has been out there for I think every watch party we've had. Barb's 10, look forward to seeing you next time. But be careful headed back home to Cuero. Hope you have a good weekend there. And we also have a comment that we'll get to a little later on Texas and Florida. I don't see any super chats right now. So, Jason, let's continue the recruiting discussion here a little bit. Little Fasusi update, a little bit of something. We're not here to totally freak a Texas fan out and make him think something that's not true. So let's get the truth to him. What was this Fasusi update over the last week that got your attention?
That Sark went and visited him on Friday at his school and then went to his game. I think half of his game. Chris Gilbert was there as well. You know, it wasn't, I mean, it's a big story. Like, listen, but I'm not one I don't like to oversell things just for, as someone said, clickbait. That's just not who I am. But it is a big story anytime Texas goes to see him. But it was kind of expected, right? Sark is going to be in the DFW area. You're going to go see the 5-star offensive lineman up there. And Fasusi's told me for months, yeah, I'm still talking to Texas. Hey, I still love Texas. I love everything about Texas and the coaches there and the fans and the program. He's happy with his Oklahoma commitment, but he hasn't shut things down with Texas by any means. So just the fact that Sark and Chris Gilbert went to see him in person, I think is a big development. Now, does that mean he's going to flip his commitment from Oklahoma? Not necessarily, and we can really dig deep into this if we want. But you know, Fasusi's always told me like something would have to change with Oklahoma. He didn't come out and say it, but it almost have to be a coaching change, or Bill Bedenbaugh leaves or whatever, or something happens. Well, that's not going to happen before he signs his letter of intent. But he might be looking at that program saying, "Hey, it's not going to happen this year, but it could very well happen next year." Right? So maybe that seed of doubt has been planted a little bit. You know, I still think based on what I'm seeing and, you know, Sam Spiegelman from Rivals talk to Fasusi and my conversations with Mike, I still think he's happy with Oklahoma. I think he will sign with Oklahoma, but that door is open a little bit. Okay. We've got about a month left. Now, the other side of that equation, Chad, is our discussion. If he decides to go somewhere other than Oklahoma, Is it for sure going to be Texas? It might be Texas A&M. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this with Fasusi in terms of playing time and NIL opportunities. So, I think Texas finished second when he originally committed to Oklahoma. I say that, but do you know what? Michael Fasusi, the day before he committed to Oklahoma, I hit him up, and he and I have a pretty good trusting relationship. I've never burned him, but I hit him up the day before and I said, "Hey, Mike," I said, "Listen, I'm going to come cover your commitment if it's going to be Texas. If it's not, I really don't want to drive 3 hours up to Louisville and back." Okay.
Right.
And he was cool enough. He goes, "You know what? It's going to be Oklahoma or Texas A&M." So he was cool enough to basically say, "Hey, Jason, don't waste your time." So could it be that it was an Oklahoma A&M battle? Or was that just his way of saying, "Hey, it's not going to be Texas. Don't waste your time"? I think that was just his way of saying it's not going to be Texas without saying it's for sure going to be Oklahoma. But anyways, as I ramble here a little bit, A&M is still involved in this thing too. So it's not a guarantee if he flips, it'll be Texas. So, he left the door open possibly to come to a game at Texas or in College Station. Obviously, we're running out of time there. Who knows? Maybe he's at the Texas game in College Station. But
that's what I was about to ask you. Would it shock you if he shows up November 30th?
It wouldn't shock me at all. Depending on what Louisville's playoff schedule is, and I should know this, Chad. We don't know the time of that game yet, do we?
Not official. We just know it's 2:30 or later.
Okay, so it's going to be an afternoon or evening game. So that helps things a little bit. Texas is running into that issue this weekend with these 11 a.m. kicks. When guys play Friday night, it makes it tough for guys to come in for those 11 a.m. kicks. Guys that have to drive 3 hours or more. So, I think Texas is playing this wisely. They're staying in contact. They're saying, "Hey, Mike, we're happy for you, dude. You're going to be a great player wherever you go, but we're still here, brother. If you want to talk to us or come visit or switch your commitment, we would love to have you." And the other side of this, Chad, it's a different time now. If Michael Fasusi says, "You know what, I want to go to Oklahoma. That's where my heart is. But I also, know that their coaching staff may be on thin ice a little bit." Well, normally that'd be like, "Oh crap, that's a little tug of war. What do I do here?" Well, now you've got the transfer portal. Like, you know what? Sign with Oklahoma. 6 months later, if the coaches are let go, or a year later, you just pack your bags and go wherever you want, because Texas or A&M or Oregon or any place in the country would take Michael Fasusi out of the transfer portal. So he's got a lot of options. He's in a position of power, you could almost say, in this deal. But I still think it's trending towards Oklahoma, him sticking with Oklahoma.
Yeah, especially if you're throwing film out there. If you show up at any place, and you're putting pretty good film out, and then the place is falling apart,
right?
No other coaching staff's going to hold that against you. They'll see the film and they'll react to it.
Even if your film is like mediocre, but you're a true freshman starter potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't think guys are going to be like, "Okay, I can work with that. That guy was a true freshman starter at Oklahoma," or even if he's second string, but like, earning rave reviews. And listen, he's so talented. He's a 5-star and he's so young. Even if he doesn't play a snap next year, teams will welcome him out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So there's something to just keep an eye on, that Fasusi's not closing doors, but he does have he has had the upside down Longhorn thing going on, and he has had the sooner for life, sooner till I'm dead. Is that what he said to somebody?
Yeah, like I don't remember what his exact, something like that. He said when he signed. Vivek's always on point. Vivek said, "What did I miss? Is Fasusi stringing along Texas?" There might be some truth to that, Vivek. And listen, Michael Fasusi is my dude. I love Michael Fasusi. I don't care if he goes to Oklahoma. I'm still going to be a Michael Fasusi fan. But he's also smart enough. He knows how to play the game a little bit, right? Yeah. So, and he likes some gamesmanship and likes some drama. So Vivek might be onto something there. So.
All right, so there's your Fasusi update in terms of recruiting. Jason, as long as we're talking O-linemen, real quick, because I did want to, you mentioned earlier today, there's a bit of a Javon Hilson update. We'll do that real quick, though. On the offensive side, Nick Brooks, the big offensive lineman that is a Texas commit, made a visit somewhere else last week. How big of a shock was this in terms of the fact that he visited somewhere?
Not really a shock. I think Brooks is pretty locked in with his Texas commitment, but he did go to the Auburn game. He was there with some teammates supposedly, but still, I mean, that's something you're watching because Auburn's going to recruit him. They're trying to get him back on campus a second time. Auburn's kind of a dumpster fire too. So it's like, do you really want to go to Auburn?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen with their coaching staff? But the fact that he took another visit, honestly, Chad, I'm surprised it took this long. Okay. I thought when he committed, because Nick Brooks, before he committed to Texas, he was committed to Iowa publicly. He was committed to Georgia silently. He was committed to USC silently. Then he committed to Texas publicly. I thought maybe Georgia might stay involved there. And, I Google mapped it. He's in about 45 minutes from Athens in Loganville, Georgia. He's about 45 minutes from Athens. So I thought, okay, he'll probably pop into a couple Georgia games. Hasn't happened, but he did go out to Auburn last week. I'm not freaking out about it. Does that maybe tie in a little bit with the renewed interest, if you will, in Fasusi? Maybe a little bit, but I think Texas feels pretty confident that they're going to keep Nick Brooks and they're not freaking out yet. Now, if he takes a second visit to Auburn, okay, then we're going to have to really turn our radars on. But right now, I feel pretty good about him sticking with Texas.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'll go to the defensive side of the ball next. And again, thank you for jumping in today. Over 600 of you in the Specs chat. We appreciate you. A special house divided. Jeff Ketchum dealing with some work stuff and still trying to get over that sickness that he was dealing with yesterday. So we just took the recruiting show and house divided and smashed them together. And Jason's getting you a lot of good recruiting info. We'll get you more of that after I thank one of our great partners around here. And it's one of my favorites because it's the one that helps me sleep. Literally helps me sleep better even when I don't get to sleep as long as I want, just all that stuff. When I'm sleeping in other locations, when I'm sleeping in my bed, your bed, anybody's bed. Well, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Sinus and snoring specialist, making sure that I'm breathing well, sleeping well. I had moderate obstructed sleep apnea, which y'all always get on catch for is 85%. Well, that's what Dr. Slaughter told me at Sinus and Snoring Specialist, 85% blocked in my nasal passages. And then he showed me with a little camera that he invented that can go up into the passage and show you the blockage. So it was a huge eye opener. And eventually it was a nasal passage opener too, because we got that taken care of. They got rid of my allergies for good. And I've been resting better ever since. We're at that time of year where things get a little weird temperature wise. It's cold, then it's hot. It's not, it's been dry a long time. Then all of a sudden it rains. And that used to just mess with me and my allergies and sinuses and everything. And now I don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it either. Sinus and Snoring Specialist, 601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. I would appreciate it when you check them out. Tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. They've been one of my partners for a long, long time now. Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Thank you for whoever that was that scanned that QR code. Appreciate you. All right. We roll through.
Hey, real quick, you don't need an unsolicited plug from me, but my family is patients of Dr. Slaughter long before you
Nice.
joined Orange Bloods. My wife and my son, I can't remember how many years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, both were patients of Dr. Slaughter with wonderful results. So I can firmly back you up on that. Tremendous practice there.
Yeah, they do good work. Yeah, I appreciate you saying it. And we appreciate all of you that have mentioned Orange Bloods Live to them. I know a few of you have done that. All right, Jason, another big name. We've talked about Javon Hilson multiple times in the recruiting show, was a Florida State commit. Number one D end for a lot of services. Is there any service that doesn't think he's the best D end? Is that a consensus, unanimous kind of thing?
I don't think it's unanimous, but honestly,
but it's close.
I don't. I mean, you may not believe me. I don't really pay attention to the other networks that much rankings. So I've got so much on my plate with Rivals and Orange Bloods. But I'm pretty sure I remember hearing, or maybe it was on a show, or someone said that he was not. He's not a consensus number one. I think Rivals maybe has him higher than a couple of the others.
Gotcha. So we've talked about the fact that Hilson he's definitely been to Texas, has had an official to Texas. His official to A&M is November 30th. Is that correct? Do I have that right?
That's the plan as of now. We'll see if he sticks with it. But yeah, as of now. And he's taken an official to Texas. He was also at the Georgia game. So he took an unofficial visit to Texas as
gotcha.
well.
So had an official and then the unofficial to Georgia. So what's the update on Hilson? There was a visit, or there's an extra one coming up?
Both. Both. Okay. And you said he's a one-time Florida State commitment. He's a one-time Alabama commitment, right? So he's a guy that's kind of bounced around a little bit. Well, last weekend, and when he decommitted from Florida State, it was Texas and Central Florida were the two main players. Well, Central Florida is no longer in it. He actually went and visited Florida State a few weeks ago. Florida State's no longer in it. He visited Syracuse last weekend on an official visit. Yeah, and he gave it. I see that face you're making, like Syracuse, really?
Yeah,
But he gave it very high remarks and high, high regards. He talked about it. So Syracuse is in play. He's got that A&M visit. Okay, he visited A&M unofficially a couple weekends ago. So A&M suddenly making a charge in this one. He's supposed to take an official visit to Pittsburgh sometime in November too. So right now it's Texas and Texas A&M, and it's Syracuse and Pittsburgh are the 4 schools we're talking about and we're watching there. Those are the ones he's mainly focused on. I think, Chad, it's going to come down to a Texas A&M battle. But as I said, Javon kind of has bounced all over the place with different commitments and different schools, even this late in the process, different schools moving in, different schools falling off. So this thing could change again. But right now, I think it's going to be Texas or Texas A&M. But I'm not discounting Syracuse or Pittsburgh because Javon Hilson kind of does what he wants to do. But those are the 4 schools he said this week that he's focused on.
Interesting. So UCF and Florida State both now out of the picture for him.
As of today.
As of today, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Today,
So we talked about it. Whatever personal stuff, family stuff, things that might be keeping him close to Florida, maybe that has been discussed or figured out with some other schools. Jason, the one thing I keep thinking of, maybe it's because I'm an Aggie fan and I remember the connection. I believe Elijah Robinson ended up at Syracuse.
Yes, that's right.
A&M, he was, what was he? Either D-line coach or
D-line coach. Yeah, and I think I don't know if he's D coordinator up there now. And
I think he may have gotten the DC job. Every time I've seen that, I just wonder if you had some kind of relationship with A&M, it might explain why you'd end up at Syracuse.
Maybe, yeah. And that happened right after he left a couple guys. And listen, he's a fantastic recruiter. I'm assuming he's still there. I haven't heard otherwise, but he's a fantastic recruiter. But yeah, he's done a good job up there getting some pretty big time players to look at Syracuse pretty heavily, and Javon Hilson being one of them. For sure.
Yeah. So Javon Hilson, the visit to Syracuse. So you're telling me you think Texas A&M, Syracuse, Pitt?
Yeah, those are the 4 that he mentioned, the rivals this week, that are the 4 he's focusing on. Again, different teams have moved in and out of this thing. It's pretty fluid, if you will. So, but those are the 4 as of this week that he's focused on.
Vivek just threw in. Man, Hilson's got the craziest final grouping ever. That is a weird grouping. You got to admit.
Syracuse, and then 2 Texas schools that play in the SEC. So I don't know.
Maybe that's his thinking, Jason. I'm going to pick 2 schools in one conference, then I'm going to pick 2 schools in another conference because that way, I got to get a sense.
You're from Cocoa, Florida. Do you really want to go to Syracuse or Pittsburgh? Believe me, I've been to Pittsburgh in January, man. It's not fun. So,
Jason, I agree with you, but sometimes it's about the difference in what you grew up with. So if you spent your whole life with, man, Christmas never feels like Christmas. It's always hot. It's always warm. I've been around some people that tell me, oh, Chad, I had to get to Colorado. I had to get to.
Dude, I was just about to say that. My wife's dream is to my wife's from Colorado, but her dream is to take our kids, now that they're old enough that none of them believe in Santa. I screwed that up for my youngest daughter a couple of years ago. That's a whole other story, how I screwed that up. Like my son was doing something with one of the gifts Santa gave her, and I go, dude, knock it off. That was expensive. And so ever since then, she's known.
Come on, man.
She's old enough now that she should know, but this was when she was younger. But now that my kids are old enough that, Santa doesn't really matter anymore. My wife's like, I want to spend a Christmas in Colorado. And I'm like, hey, I get it. That sounds awesome. Like, right. I'll try it once. I may hate it if there's too much snow on the ground, but that does sound pretty cool. So maybe that's what Javon's thinking. Like, hey, I want some different seasons or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so there's your Javon Hilson update.
Suchomel future Christmas plans update. Yeah. So.
See, there you go. I like that. The old the Christmas plan update. All right, so we got some chats that have come in. I don't see any
text guy said, "Wait, Santa ain't real." Yeah, no. Sorry, text guy. Hope your kids weren't in the background or anything.
No. It's just we're just messing around. Just messing around. Don't worry. Santa's still coming to your house. And most importantly, Santa and the elf on the shelf and everybody else is watching you. They're making sure. So be sure to be good. Be sure to be good. text guy, hopefully we helped you out there. All right. So let's get you. We will before we're done. I did build up a little buy or sell for Jason.
Okay.
We got that coming up. Also, some more recruiting stuff, including the visit list. Maybe not. It's not like the Georgia game. We're not going to lie to you on that one. But there's a couple guys that Jason will tell you about that are coming in for the early Florida kick. So we will have that coming up. Before we do that, let's just, we like to be honest around here. Let's talk about drinking. Let's start at the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. Look, weather's turning, a little cooler out there, and you're thinking, man, I haven't just been out to some cool, hill country area in a while. Man, go take that drive out to beautiful Dripping Springs and check out the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. You could have maybe do a tasting, check out all 8 different flavors of the vodka, learn the history of it. Or if you just want to hit that bar and say, hey, how about a blood orange Rio Rita or any of these other great cocktails, they will make it up for you. The barbecue on site is great. It's Crimson Creek Smokehouse. And if I haven't mentioned it recently, they have a 3-pound tomahawk steak. You have to order it a day in advance, but apparently it's heavenly. I've never had it, but it does exist if you are into such things. Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room, Thursdays through Sundays out there in beautiful Dripping Springs, if you want to check them out. 3-pound tomahawk, Jason.
I mean, I was just thinking as you were talking about that, that'd be a fun date, afternoon, evening I need to take the wife, but she'll have to do the driving and she may have to roll me out of there in a wheelbarrow if I try that tomahawk steak, man.
Yeah. So. Oh, well, the one thing I always say, you definitely want to do it responsibly out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. The main thing I always bring to the tasting room is my favorite DD, my wife. So make sure you got a great driver that can get you out there and back or get you an Uber set up or whatever. It's a beautiful drive, but it is one of those, it's out there. I mean, you got to do a little hill country driving. So please be careful heading out to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Now, if you can't get out there this weekend, but you need your Deep Eddy vodka, they've got it and a lot of other stuff at Specs. Here's Lisa.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
What was that I missed here on? Oh, Blake, it's $2 super chat. And I'm real first I've heard of this. I know, Blake, just rumors.
Tune me out, Blake. Just ignore that. Just
tell your kids.
Eliminate
it's all
that
rumors.
Memory. Yeah, exactly.
All rumors. Absolutely. Thank you for that super chat. I don't see any others right now. We'll get to some of those chats you guys sent about Texas, Florida, but there is some other recruiting stuff. Just going over the notes I made, Jason. So this weekend, I think in terms of there's a couple visitors that I know you've discussed this week. Let's hit those. Couple names that you mentioned this week. So what are we looking at? Maybe a handful of guys coming in for the Florida game?
Yeah, I haven't built up a full list. Like you said, it's not going to be Georgia, right? Nothing's going to be like that weekend. But with it being an 11 a.m. kick, and there'll be some Texas commitments that'll be there. The guys that, Bo Barnes that comes to every game, and some of the Texas commitments. But as far as uncommitted guys, the big news this weekend, you have 2 official visitors coming in, and they're both pretty new names. I don't think they're names we have talked about, Chad, because we didn't do a recruiting hour last week, or did we? Yeah, we did actually last week, but we haven't talked about these guys. So Grayson Littleton, he goes by Gray Littleton, is a cornerback out of Wesley Chapel, Florida. Okay, I don't even know where in Florida that is, but He was a Clemson commitment. Last week, it's where he doesn't do a lot of social media. Okay, so he notified a Rivals guy like, hey, I'm decommitted from Florida. I'm sorry, from Clemson. I'm going to visit Michigan, and Texas just offered me. I'm like, okay. So and then that was relayed to me. So I actually hit him up early this week, and I said, hey, just check in. I know you got that Texas offer. Any chance you get to Austin? And he responded, I think it might have been yesterday, maybe Monday, that he is coming in this weekend on an official visit. So that's kind of breaking news. I haven't seen that reported anywhere, and we've had it out there for a couple of days now. But he's taking an official visit to Texas. He did visit Michigan last week on an official visit, and he goes, hey, I still love Clemson. So I'm not ruling Clemson out. that'd be kind of unique. A guy decommits in November and then recommits a month later. That'd be really unique. But Michigan seems to be the team with a lot of chatter all of a sudden. But hey, Texas needs another cornerback badly, and he is coming in for an official visit. Texas doesn't miss on these official visits. Okay, I'm not saying he's going to go to Texas, but he will leave Austin. I would feel pretty confident saying, okay, that was a great visit. Now I've got to do some thinking. So we'll be tracking that one closely. Another position that they need another body, if you will. They need linebackers. I mean, they need defensive tackles, a linebacker, and a cornerback. So Kellen Wiley is another recent offer. They just offered him recently. He's also out of Florida. He's out of Seffner, Florida. Again, don't know where in Florida that is. But he's an underrated guy. He's a 3-star, 5.6 ranking on Rivals. So kind of a lower-rated guy. He's visited Illinois. If I look at this, he's visited Louisville. He's visited Maryland, Toledo. He's coming in this weekend to Texas for an official visit. Miami seems to be the school that has a lot of buzz there, the in-state Miami Hurricanes. So we'll see if Texas can make a move there and make a dent. I'll be honest, I don't know. I mean, I've texted with both of these guys. I don't know a ton about them, so I'll try to catch up with them after they visit to just kind of get a little bit more background and obviously see what they think and where does Texas fit in. How strong of a player is Texas for you all of a sudden? So these are all really new developments. So we're still kind of peeling back the layers here on this and digging our hands in here and figuring out how serious their interest is. But both of these guys are new offers. They both set up visits very quickly. That tells me there's a legitimate interest in Texas.
Interesting. Okay. So a couple guys coming in to visit, and like you said, not just visit, official visits this weekend. By the way, shout out to the Littletons. Grayson, Graceson, Grace and Son put together. You see what they did there? That's fantastic. And you said they call him Gray?
He goes by Gray, just based on the social media stuff, he goes by Gray Littleton. Yeah. So.
Okay. That's fantastic. Also, one other name I wanted you to talk about, because it's one I don't think we talked about, but then again, it is a 27 guy, but Jacobe Dixon, running back from Brenham, one of those names of, we talked a lot about Boobie Feaster in the 27 class, but this is another name maybe we need to start talking about it a little bit. What's the update on Jacobe?
Well, he'll be at the game this weekend. Okay. He'll be at the Florida game, so that's the starting point. He did not make it in for the Georgia game. He was supposed to, but that fell through. But he was at, I think it was the Mississippi State game, because he mentioned how great Arch looks, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, Jacobe Dixon, first off, he'd been on my radar, but because Texas had offered him. But this is the first time I actually talked to him. Awesome kid. He and Boobie Feaster should be roommates at Texas or wherever they go, because they have similar personalities. Just really cool young men. So this dude's an elite prospect. He is, look at this, Chad. He is a 4-star prospect by Rivals in the 2027 class. They don't have like a top 100 or anything yet, but he would certainly be in there. I think he's going to be a guy that is in consideration for 5-star status. Maybe one of the best running backs in the country in his class. I mean, listen, he's only a sophomore. And I'm not going to read all of his offers because there's a lot, but Ohio State, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. I mean, he's got some heavy hitters that Ole Miss has already offered him, Houston, Baylor. He's got some heavy hitters that have already offered him. He wants to go see some programs. He's young and he's taking a mature approach. He said, hey, I don't want to go somewhere and then decommit. I don't want to go somewhere and be unhappy and then get in the transfer portal right away. So he said, I'm taking my time with this, but Texas and Texas A&M are 2 schools he really likes. And he had a quote, and I don't even have it pulled up, but basically he said, hey, Texas is where I want to be, but I'm going to take my time with this. So, this is going to be a long recruitment. The staff's going to have to work on Jacobe Dixon and put in some time there. But as it stands right now, that one looks really good for Texas. I mean, he did say, hey, Texas is kind of where I envision myself in college, but I just want to take my time to make sure I'm making the right choice.
Speaking of a name that's got a nice flow to it, Jacobe Dixon. That's a nice
yeah, feel on the name. I need to ask Chance Mock. I swear I was on the Outsiders with you guys. This was a while back, and he asked me about Jacobe because like somebody he knows knew Jacobe, or his son knows somebody that knew Jacobe. Like how old is Chance's son? I don't even. Do you know?
Oh yeah, he's what Cash is like. I want to say 12, 13, 14, right in that range.
He's a little younger than Jacobe, but
maybe
Chance had some kind of connection because he asked me about Jacobe, and at the time I was like, I don't know a lot about him. I mean, Texas had offered him, but now you can relay the chance that, hey, Texas is very involved in Jacobe.
There you go. Very cool. All right. So a lot of good names mentioned here. All right, Jason, as I mentioned earlier, I did cook up a little buy or sell for you. Before we do it, anything else recruiting wise we need to hit?
Not really. Talked to a couple Texas commitments. John Mills, I talked to, the offensive lineman out of San Francisco. He has not been able to come in for a game this year, but he's trying to get in maybe for that Kentucky game. Yeah, we're just kind of in that home stretch now. It's just we keep picking away at these guys, trying to get little bits of information. Now we're just trying to see which guys are going to kind of help fill out this class for Texas, but nothing too dramatic this week. Not yet, but hey, like I said, it's only hump day, so we still got a couple days, a few days left in this week. We'll see what happens.
Still plenty of time. All right. Before we let Jason get out of here, he's got things to take care of today. We appreciate his time. Let's get him a little buy or sell, and it'll start with your thoughts on the game, Jason. Buy or sell number one, Texas covers against Florida, and the offense checks the box.
What is the spread? It's like 21.5, 22?
21.5 is what I saw today, yes.
Man, I just don't see how Florida scores that many points. I mean, they can run the ball, and they're going to have to run the ball to keep Texas's offense off the field, and their quarterback's just bad. So, yeah, I think Texas covers. I think they kind of get some of this criticism off their back, so to speak, with the offense playing better if Isaiah Bond's healthy. So, yeah, I'll take Texas to cover.
All right. How about this one? Buy or sell number two, Bama beats LSU in Death Valley.
I'm going to buy that one. I just think Bama's the better team. Jalen Milroe can be really, really good, but sometimes their offense can struggle a little bit. But I'm not sold on LSU offensively, not consistently, not against an athletic defense like Bama. So I don't know. Do you have that pulled up? Like, what's the spread on that? I'm curious. But I'm taking Bama. I'm just curious if you know what the spread is on that.
I will look it up for you right now. I have not. That's of all the spreads this weekend. For some reason, that's the one I have not peeked at. It is Bama by 3.
Okay, that's about what I would have guessed it to be. Yeah, I'm going to take Bama to win that game. I think they're just a better team.
All right, Jason, let's get to your professional fandom. Buy or sell number 3, the Steelers will win the North and get a playoff win.
Oh, man, do I have to speak with my head or my heart on this? Okay.
Hey, whichever you prefer.
They're playing better with Russell Wilson at quarterback, but I just think they're a house of cards. If I'm being honest, they haven't played a division game yet. So they've still got 2 games with Baltimore, Cincinnati, of course, Cleveland. Baltimore is the better football team, I think. I mean, Steelers, they play not this week, but next week. Steelers are in Washington this week. So we'll see. These next 2 weeks will tell us a lot, but I think Baltimore probably wins that division. I think they're the better football team. But my heart says go Steelers, right? So
yeah. Oh, no kidding. So just 2 things real quick. Mike Williams at receivers, that do anything for you?
Nothing. Nah.
It wouldn't do. Look, here's what I'll say. As a guy rooting for a team that just got Jonathan Mingo, be happier than me.
Yeah. Well, the Ravens, as I talk about Baltimore, they got Deontay Johnson, a former Steeler who's with Carolina. I'm a big Deontay Johnson fan. So
yeah, I like him.
Yeah, they moved the needle more than Pittsburgh did in improving their offense. Yeah.
No, I think you're right about that. And secondly, Jason, you mentioned the matchup this week. As a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, send me a terrible towel for Sunday, please.
I've got a few of them. You know what? I'll bring you one to the card house on Saturday. Yeah.
If there's one thing I need right now as a Cowboys fan, other than the obvious, I need this Washington train to come off the track a little bit.
Yeah, well, hopefully it starts this weekend. Yeah, it's It's a good Washington team, and that Steelers defense can make young quarterbacks look bad. So we'll see.
Let Russ cook in the nation's capital, please. All right, Jason, let's go to the music world real quick. Buy or sell number 4, Glenn Fry would have been 76 today. Rest in peace. Musically, you're an Eagles guy.
I was a huge Eagles guy in college. I've kind of gone away from them now. I mean, I still appreciate some of their songs and their overall catalog, but like my oldest daughter, about a year or 2 ago, I think they were playing up in Dallas or something. She wanted to go see the Eagles, and I was like, it's a pretty boring concert. I've seen them. Musically, they're wonderful, but they just kind of stand there and play it. I think she would have been bored, but
right.
Yeah, musically, I'm an Eagles guy. I've never seen them in concerts. But I was a much bigger Eagles guy back in my college days. I had their CDs, I guess, back then, greatest hits and all that business. So I don't listen to them much anymore, Chad, but I certainly had my little run there where I was a pretty big Eagles fan. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, you picked one of the ranked matchups. Let's get the other one. Buy or sell number 5, Ole Miss upsets Georgia in Oxford.
Boy, you know what? That's tough. That's in Oxford. Let's see. That's tough. Both those teams have a lot to play for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ole Miss is coming off a big win. Georgia didn't look great last week. What version of Carson Beck are we going to get, right? So I'm going to go with Georgia on the road. Again, I just think they're more talented top to bottom. I'll take Georgia to rattle that Ole Miss offense, maybe bring them back down to earth a little bit. If Jackson Dart gets hot, hey, we'll see. But that's a good one. I'm really torn on that one, but I'll take Georgia on the road. So I'm taking both road teams. Yeah.
Yeah, I am challenging both home teams, but I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I'm rooting for both home teams, but I don't trust either one of them. I don't trust LSU because they look like they're kind of a mess. And this is the perfect game for a Lane Kiffin letdown.
Yeah, it is. Right.
There's never been a better version of the Lane Kiffin letdown than this one, where they might get a little love. That's only like a 2.5 point line. Georgia may walk in there and just step on them. And I hope I'm wrong.
And Georgia knows Ole Miss can't either, but I think it matters more with Georgia. Georgia knows they can't afford another loss, right? So
you'd hope.
Not if they want to get in the conference championship. So, they could still make the college football playoffs. But, I think when both teams' backs are against the wall, right, which they both are, I'm going to trust Georgia to come out fighting more than I am Ole Miss. Yeah,
no doubt. All right, Jason, before I let you go, I threw this up yesterday as a possibility of the bracket, and then it ends up being the bracket. So it's my simple version, but here's the way it looks as of today, with Texas and Bama being the 6-11. Your reaction to where Texas ended up, I'm assuming it wasn't a surprise to you.
No, you'd rather be where Ohio State is. That's a much easier draw. That Bama game can be tricky because Bama can be really good if Milroe's hot. I think Miami's certainly beatable, but obviously they got Cam Ward. That'd be a scary game potentially. But, those are both winnable games for Texas. But, boy, if you could get that 5 spot and play, if Boise stays where it is and BYU, Ohio State's got a great draw there. We were talking off air about the college football playoffs. And do you know, I looked, Chad, the top 17 in the college football playoffs are identical to the AP top 17, the top 17 ranked teams, except they have LSU at 14. This is AP. LSU at 14, A&M 15. The college football playoffs has A&M 14, LSU 15. Other than those two being flip-flop one spot, the top 17 are identical to the Associated Press top That's 17. Crazy. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And the coaches polls a little bit more variation there, but it's going to be a tough draw. I love it, dude. This is great that we're even talking about it. It's going to be a tough draw no matter who you are, and you're going to have to play your A game in all those games. But could Texas get by Alabama? Absolutely. They'd probably be favored. Texas, Miami. I think Texas would probably be favored in that game as it stands right now. So, you'll take that draw, but just get in there and just, like I say, hey, get in there and then just win in advance, right? Win and survive. So survive in advance, I guess is the term I'm looking for. Survive in advance.
If I'm a Texas fan, knowing how that team can look, I wouldn't be scared of any matchup. But
you know what? We need to start seeing them look like that again.
You do. We absolutely do. But in theory, it's not like you're going to go into a game thinking, oh, my God, if that team plays well, they'll just destroy us. But if your team plays well, Texas fans, they can hang with anybody.
Listen, I don't know if every team in that bracket you showed, if they all played their A-plus game, right? I don't know that there's a team I'd take over Texas. I think when Texas is at its best, it might be the best team in the country. Now, the problem is we haven't seen Texas at its best in several weeks.
I agree. The only one I might go with is I'm really starting to believe in Oregon. They had their struggles early, and now they're better, and that's how I'd rather have a team do it. Rather than the way Texas did it, where September was the highlight so far, and you're waiting for it to come back. That's the main reason Texas needs to crank it back up, because then I might think it's Texas and Oregon.
I wouldn't argue that. Oregon's really good. They got good quarterback play, and as always, a lot of speed, a lot of skill, talent. So, it's a good team they've got up there.
I dig what Gabriel's doing. All right, Jason, I do appreciate you jumping in for the 12 o'clock show today. I know you got a couple things to take care of, so you go do that, and I will see you Saturday at the TCH Social.
Sounds good, Chad. We'll see you soon.
There it is. That is Jason Suchomel. Check out the great stuff at orangebloods.com. I'll just throw that up for you real quick. It is the 321 article plus the update. He had the update on Zealous Hicks. He had the update on the visit with Grayson Littleton and the other guys that are coming in this weekend for the visit. So you can check all that out at orangebloods.com. We are glad you're with us today. I did get, there were some chats that came in that I wanted to get to, and I'm just going to scan and look for a couple of chats. Here's the last one that just came in. David said Oregon does look good, but they always blow it late in the season. David, it's a good comment. Here's the one thing I keep thinking with Oregon. At times I watch them and I think, I don't know what gets in their way. Then I'm reminded their head coach can do it. Their head coach, Dan Lanning, he's like a, he's like an evolved Tom Herman to me. The stuff that used to drive you crazy about Tom Herman, he's a little bit better at it. But every once in a while, you see it come out. You see like that kind of like, wait, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? But right now they look like they're in a pretty good place. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can get some chats here. This was also from David earlier. We're going to see a revived and reinvigorated version of the Horns this weekend versus Florida. I can feel it. David, the numbers would tell you that could happen. If I'm a Texas fan, I dig this. 81 in total defense for the Gators. Pass defense, 68, 88 for the rush defense. Like, this is not some unreal team. Third down percentage, 103 in the country. Fourth downs, 105. Time of possession, 106. That won't matter too much, but they can't keep the ball from you. First downs, 107. Kick return defense. Hello, Texas kick return team. Kick return defense is 115 in the country. They've got some sloppiness. Texas should be able to handle if that offense can just get to clicking like they've been talking about this week. ATX Big Rich sees it that way, says, I'm going to go to the game. Horns by 17. Defense doesn't allow more than 14 points. Big Rich, that is not a cover, but I'd take that all day if I'm Texas. If you're a Texas fan, I wouldn't worry about covers this week. I would tell you, just don't worry about it. Don't bet. Betting on an SEC game with like a 21-point line in November, I don't know that that's a fun thing to do. But if I'm you guys, if I'm a Texas fan and you handed me like 31-14, that's all I know. If that's the final, I'd take it every day of the week. I mean, who wouldn't take that? But I'll make that your 17 points, even if that is what you didn't say there. Big Cheddar, a few minutes late. So sorry if it's been discussed. Any updates with Michael Terry? Big Cheddar, there are no updates on Michael Terry. We haven't had a lot of that lately. But keep your ears and eyes peeled for that one. Also, thanks to Marcos for jumping in. Sorry, late to tune in. Is the 5-star in the thumbnail Terry or Hilson? It's neither one. We got you with the shadow. That was Zealous Hicks in the shadow. And again, just the weird notion of by reclassifying, it ultimately may add a 5-star to this 2025 class that you didn't expect. So really building up an interesting group in the defensive backfield and safety. Jonah Williams and him in the same group. It could very well happen now. But that's who it was, Marcos. We appreciate you checking out the show and the thumbnail. Rock Drums 11 is, I hear Booby Feaster is the crown jewel. Can you verify? Yeah, absolutely. We do love some Booby Feaster in the recruiting discussions. This one kind of got answered in the chat for Orange Blood. Why are the number of chatters shown on my YouTube app always way below the number of chatters you quote? Just curious. Somebody answered it, but yes, Orange Bloods, I see a combined number of YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the different ways that we send it out. I see a total number. So right now I'm seeing over 730 folks in the Specs chat, and we do appreciate you being there. David says, thank you, Chad. Love the analysis and the show. Thank you, David. I'll do a little more analysis on the bracket from last night because I thought there were a couple of interesting items there. kind of what Jason pointed out, but a little more as well. Before that, let me thank one more of our great partners, and that is AV Consultations. You've seen the spot, and you've heard Tom talk about it. You've heard Camilla McKay talk about it. They're just the best at setting up the TV room of your dreams, the movie room, the family viewing room. Maybe it's a man cave. Maybe it's, what do they call the other version? A she shed, whatever you want to do, whatever you've been dreaming of, they can make that come true. Maybe you're all about the kitchen. Maybe you are a kitchen freak. You're always in there prepping and you have to lean too far to see the TV. Maybe the TV's not big enough. That could just be it. Or maybe you need a TV mounted in that kitchen in a way you hadn't thought of. They can make that happen for you. AV Consultations, 255-8678. Been doing it since 1988, since Barry Sanders was running at Oklahoma State. And they'll get it done for you. No problem. They'll make sure you're satisfied. No problem. And they'll handle all the details. No problem. Like buying the television. Let them do that part for you too. Don't go buy the TV at a big box store and then, oh, look, here's the one I got. It may not be the perfect one for the setup you're looking for. Tell them what you want. Then they will go handle everything. The screen, the cords, get those out of the way, the speakers, everything, make it look perfect. They get it done every time. AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. All right. Let me just take a quick peek at the chat. I don't. Calvin, anyone tell Ketch that Elko is his evil twin? I haven't heard anybody say Ketch looks like Elko. Haven't had that one. I'd have to take a double look at that one. I think I kind of know where you're going there. All right, let's go to real quick back to the bracket. Just something to point out. Jason said better to be, the 5 than the 6 right now. Here's what I hadn't considered. Not only does the 5 get the 12, that's obvious. With Ohio State, I mean, think about this. This is based on right now, but let's say Ohio State ends up being right where they are, and it's because they got to the Big Ten title game and lost. Or maybe they're just outside of it and didn't have the extra game. But not only does the 5 seed, if you end up at a 5 like Ohio State, you are a higher ranked team that gets seeded down slightly, and you're playing a team theoretically that is a lower seeded team that got upticked. And that's what happened to BYU. They are ranked 9th, if you missed it, in the actual rankings, but they go up to 4 because they'd be a conference champion. So I hadn't factored in both halves of that. I knew the 5-12 part, but then when it's like 5-12 versus the 4, each year the 4 more than likely is going to be either ACC or Big 12, but it'll be the lesser of those teams. So both those at the same time, that's impactful. Also, just think about this. If you are seeded 6th to lower, 6 to 11, obviously 12 is not great either. We know what that is. But if you're 6 to 11, you've either got to be matched up immediately with the 1 seed, or you're in the Texas Bama slot where you're dealing with that number 2 seed eventually, or it's a 3 seed here for Texas. I definitely think I want the 6 versus the 7, though. 7 has to deal with 2 immediately. At least with the 6, you get a 3 seed, and a 3 seed every year is going to be ACC or Big 12. Unless we have a weird year. So just something to think about. And also, I put this out on Twitter last night because it's the first thing I noticed, because I noticed these things. Y'all know me with my OCD and Hall of Helmets and the big games and all that. There are 8 100,000 seat stadiums in the country. 4 of them would host these games. That would be wild if we end up with 4 big stadiums for these. If Columbus, Knoxville, Austin, and Happy Valley host those 4 games, it's the first time we've ever had them, and those first 4 could be that massive, it would be incredible. One other note while I've got this pulled up to talk about, focus in on Boise up there top, Boise and BYU. And I mentioned that BYU is number 9. So one of the points that Greg McElroy made last night that I hadn't thought of was the notion that, well, wait a second, Boise's at 12 and BYU's at 9. That's only 3 spots difference. If I'm BYU, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out because The G5 could take my spot. The G5 could take my bye week. Okay, wait a second. I guess that's true. But I went and double-checked schedules today. The rest of the year, BYU, right now they don't have a ranked team on their schedule. That's fair. But they're going to play theoretically in the Big 12 title game, right? That's how you have to get to that spot. So you're telling me whatever that resume is, Boise's going to have a better one? Go look at the end of Boise's schedule with San Diego State and Oregon State and whatever. Like, come on. That's not going to happen. And then Boise would play, who did I look at today? Colorado State, I think, might be their opponent in the, what are they, Mountain West, I believe, title game. But that's not going to get them a slot above the highest ranked. Let's say it stays as the Big 12. That's not going to get them above the Big 12 winner, is it? I don't think so. So it sounded like a concern for McElroy. I really don't think it's there. And on the other level, I would say, well, if you're the Big 12 or ACC team, that's bad enough that the group of five passes you in the committee's mind. Well, suck it up and play. Suck it up and play the 5 seed. I'm sorry. You had every opportunity. They were ready to give you a bye, and you couldn't go get it. That sounds like your conference's fault to me. That just doesn't sound like a real committee problem. But we'll see what happens. I love the way this played out last night. I felt like the discussions weren't as silly because it makes, sense versus what we've had. I dig the bye idea. It's kind of powerful. It's kind of a powerful thing. The power of the bye week is interesting to me. The power of hosting a game is cool. And all these teams below, man, they've all got a shot. All of them. I ran through the list yesterday, but all these different teams that have a shot. I've got the ranking. Hang on, let me pull the ranking up. I'll just roll down the ranking. But this is what I love about it. This didn't used to exist. So outside of 12, here's what it is. SMU, one conference loss, they can go to the title game and get in. Or just don't lose 2 more games, and you may still sneak in. A&M, pretty clear. Win out, beat Texas, prove you belong in Atlanta. LSU, you're playing Bama this week. Ole Miss, you're playing Georgia this week. Iowa State, don't lose like that again, and you got a shot. Get, to the Big 12 title game. Pitt, same thing. That was your loss. Don't do that again. Prove it. Get back to the ACC title game. You got a spot to get in. Colorado's at 20. 2 losses, but only 1 conference loss. Get to the Big 12 title game, prove you should be in. And that gets you through 20. That gets you through 20 teams in this thing with arguments of just handle your business. That's it. That's it. And by the way, S. Roan's got his predictions coming in. I'd have Ohio State, Tennessee, Texas, and Notre Dame winning those games. I think Penn State would let that one slip. Tennessee, yeah. I think I'd pick Texas too. S-Roan, close game though. Texas Bama would be a really interesting game as a playoff game. I mean, just to get those 2 brands together in something that important, that'd be so cool. Because any other season, if they ended up in that spot, where would they go? Might not play each other. They might, I guess. Well, no, they wouldn't. They're not going to play in a bowl game. They're in the same conference. I'm thinking of the old days when they could meet in like a Sugar Bowl or whatever. Wouldn't happen nowadays. All right, somebody else throws this one in. Banks, look at you thinking ahead. Chad, make sure you have the helmets of playoff teams. Can't have an empty slot for the playoffs. That is a fantastic point. Banks, I checked it out. Let me just, Let me just throw this up, and I'll let y'all know. Banks brought it up. I'm going to let you know what the Hall of Helmets would need. If this was the playoff, I would need to get a Miami helmet, a Penn State helmet, and an Indiana helmet. Those are the 3. So, yeah, 3 helmets. I've got the G5. I got the G5 if Boise does it. If Army sneaks up and gets it, I got that one taken care of. So I appreciate it, Banks. I will make sure to have all the playoff teams. That'll be kind of my impetus to buy them. I don't have a reason otherwise. There's no reason for me in my life. I don't have anybody in my life. I don't have reasons in my life to buy Miami, Indiana, and Penn State. The only argument I could make is, well, Florida State and Miami used to matter when I was a kid, so wouldn't I want to have both? That's about the only argument I can make now, but I will have to make that playoff argument possibly. So I appreciate you looking out for the Hall of Helmets. We'll figure it out. I agree with you. Can't have a blank spot. I got to figure out, where they all go and where they belong. S. Roan, it is weird. I do not have the Miami helmet. I was a Florida State kid as Florida State guy as a kid. First helmet game I ever fell in love with was Florida State Clemson. In the rain, Bobby Bowden, I can still see it. And I saw those two helmets and I thought, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And that's when I knew I wanted something on the helmet. So that's why Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, I didn't care for them immediately because it's Cleveland Browns. If you don't care to put anything on your helmet, I want nothing to do with you. So that's how it started. And then Florida State, Miami was a big deal. But when I got into the mini helmet thing, Miami just wasn't a part of it. And eventually I made a commitment to get all the SEC, but just somewhere along the line, never had Miami. And my man, Rick Sacamano, where I've gone to get some helmets in the last couple of years, never had a Miami helmet. So there you go. May have a reason. Cam Ward, keep winning. We'll have a reason to get the Miami helmet. I'm going to have to go old school and go with the white one, though. I can't go with that black look for Miami. I don't think I can do it. Or the orange, the weird, shiny orange thing. I don't think I can do it. Don't think I can do that. All right. Let's see. Oh, look at S. Roan asking this one. Good question. Let's think this through. Bye week, pillow game at Auburn, Texas. S. Roan, I think the answer is Reed. And here's why. Because when you face the one good team left on your schedule, Texas, don't you have to have some kind of running game? You got to have something. You have to have somebody that can run the ball. And I think Reed is that. Daniels by himself is not enough. That's the theory. Unless Colin Klein was willing to say, okay, we're leaning the other way. We are going to go heavy with tight ends and receivers. We're going to go 4 wides. We're going to run 12 personnel stuff. We'll run a 12 personnel and spread everybody out, and we're going to let Connor Wigman just pick people apart. Problem with that is I don't like that theory against Texas. From the Aggie perspective, Texas fans, you know your defense. Is that the way to get the Texas defense? Hey, let's go pick on those DBs. I don't think that's the way. I don't think that is the way. When people throw the ball on November 30th, I think the advantage goes to the Longhorns. If Texas is clicking throwing the ball, the Aggies back end can be had. I've pointed this out. 8 touchdowns of 40 yards or more the Aggies have given up. 8. 5 of them have been through the air. Last week they gave up number 7 and number 8, one of each kind. Thanks, South Carolina. So that matchup's not great for A&M, and I don't think the other one is either, that I just mentioned. The idea of Wigman and those receivers against the Texas DBs, I think that's advantage Texas. So for all those reasons, I'd go with Reed. I would break it down to a close contact, phone booth kind of a game. See if you can do that. That's about the only way. And this, Craig, no, it's not going to do it. Not going to do it. And Banks, I don't think I can do that either. I'd want to because I'm cheap as hell. Pieces of paper printed out, no. But funny you said that. When I got a set of like the little micro helmets, like the little itty bitty ones, there was a couple I couldn't find. Like I literally couldn't find the Notre Dame one for the little bitty ones. They didn't sell them individually. So I literally just took a piece of paper and a picture of a Notre Dame helmet, and I would just use that. I don't have to do that though with this case. I would buy them. I'll buy them, and we'll make it a work expense if we have to put it in the Hall of Helmets for this playoff. All right. Yeah, no. Craig, I'm sorry. Were you serious? You put the exclamation point, so I thought you were kidding. Have you watched that team? Have you watched your ID? You're not serious. You're not. You're clearly, if you're saying that as a Texas fan, yeah, you're right. Now there's the LOL. Yeah, you know what you're asking for there. You know what you're asking for there. Longhorn fans, if I could guarantee you that the starting running back for A&M is number 22, oh, you take that on November 30th. I promise you. I promise you. All right. I think that'll just about wrap us up today, unless somebody wants to throw in a super chat or a weird question. Let's see. Craig is of the different opinion. He says you got to get the black Miami or the orange. I'll consider it, Craig. Again, I have no massive love for Miami. It's just that when I'm thinking of it as a kid, I think of Michael Irvin. I think of Warren Sapp. I think of The Rock and that crew. So that's what makes me think of Miami. But as long as it's got the U logo on it, I might do the weird, loud orange one. There's certain teams where when I've gotten a helmet, I thought, oh, yeah, let me do the weird version. Let me get as weird, a strange, helmet as I can get. By the way, this week, we got a couple great ones. I think I have 12 matchups behind me in the Hall of Helmets. I don't care what any of you say because I know most of you disagree. I think, hang on, hold on. Let's make sure we see this properly. All right. Pardon me, sponsors, for one moment. I think that Maryland and Oregon is one of the great helmet matchups ever. Now, Oregon is not going to wear that this week, probably, that we know. But I mean, look at that. It's fantastic. I know y'all disagree with me. I think the Maryland flag helmet is one of the greatest things that's ever happened in sports, just period. I think it's incredible. So we got that one this week. Got LSU Bama, obviously. Hey, Holy War. Holy War's coming. Oh, BYU, Utah. That was awesome. BYU to stay undefeated. I know Utah's not good. I know they're banged up. But they care about that one in Salt Lake City. That's going to be a show. And it's an evening kick, I think, for the Holy War this week. Or are we going morning? Where is it? I know it's here. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah. 9:15. 9:15 kick on ESPN. That one is awesome. And for my childhood, we also have, if y'all prefer, Catholics versus Criminals right up here. Yeah. There's your Florida State Notre Dame matchup. Unfortunately, the Seminoles are the reason that's not an interesting game this week. Speaking of Notre Dame, just hit me this week. Did y'all realize Army plays Notre Dame? What is that game going to be like? Notre Dame, home game for Notre Dame. They got by the Navy thing. I thought Navy could get them. Everybody's been making fun of me since with the wrong team favored thing. Hey, I get it. I was dead wrong. They stomped Navy. Can they do the same thing to Army? Or what would the committee do with Army? Let's say Army and Boise State don't lose. If Army gets Notre Dame, don't they have to jump Boise and they go win that conference? Wouldn't you have to put them above the Broncos? I think you would. I don't know, but I think so. I think that's the way it would work. All right. Sandman. Let's see. What else do we got here? You have met. Oh, okay. All right. Hang on. Mark's got a super chat. Sandman, I see your request. Maybe just a little bit of a super chat. Maybe a little for that. $5 super chat from Mark. 3 coolest people you have met. Mine, Ricky Williams, Ian Asbury of the Cult, and Willie. First off, Mark, believe it or not, you did not need to tell me who Ian Asbury was. I'm glad you did for everybody else. I think it's really cool you met Ian Asbury from the Cult and that you put him in your group of 3 coolest people you've ever met. For the record, I'd love to go to dinner with Ricky, Ian Asbury, and Willie and just see what happens. That would be incredible. So let me think. The 3 coolest people I have met. Wow. Off the top of my head, Ed Too Tall Jones was badass. Getting to meet Ed Jones was phenomenal. if you count them, now I didn't get to like hang and talk. But the other two that just jumped in my head, I technically met them on the same day. I got to have a little interaction with each of them, and I've interviewed one of them. Did I interview both? Ooh, maybe no, because of the event, I think I got to interview both. That counts, right? So I did technically meet them, little meet and greet autograph, and then I interviewed both Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mick Foley. So I interviewed Mick Foley while he was dropping his kids off at school. That's still one of the cooler ones. So I'll say those three. Let me go with those three. And I would like to at that dinner too. Can we do that? Ed Jones, Stone Cold, and Mick Foley. So there you go. That is good. Here's a group. Banks, Mark Henry, Quan Cosby, Anderson Cooper. Oh, I like that. That's a good group. Banks, I could certainly put Mark Henry in that discussion. Mark Henry is easily one of the coolest people I have ever met in my life. Mark's a little different because I don't just consider him somebody I've met. Like I got Mark in my phone. I could text him. I consider Mark a friend. So that's a tad bit different, but coolest people I've ever met. Yeah. Mark, there aren't many Mark Henrys walking around this planet with that kind of story. So Mark's definitely in there. Oh, look at this. Mark said, I met Stone Cold and Foley too. Met your girl Keebler. Oh, bravo, Mark. Bravo. That would be good. And Brandon, you're damn right I would. That contact high would be legendary. Ricky and Willie. Yeah. And by the way, I am not a partaker. I have never partaken. But if those two are at the table, I think that might be the night that I partake. Because, come on. That'd be the story of all stories. So, when's the first time? The table with Ricky and Willie. Yeah. And Ian Asbury from the Cult. Really? Yeah. Weirdly enough, Ian Asbury, he just drank water. It's strange. The rest of us, high as a kite. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? That's a super chat that started a weird conversation. Banks says, I drove Mark Henry's car when I worked at a dealership. 96 Impala SS. That's nice. I like that. Little Impala SS. Never hurt anybody. All right. I think that's I think that's about it. I think that no, wait a minute. Chat starts with first time I smelled pot. First time I smelled pot. Willie was in the foursome behind us on the golf course in Hillsboro. I was 15, not a smoker either. Oh my God. Mark, that's a great story. That's the first time you ever smelled pot? The first time I ever smelled pot was Bon Jovi and Cinderella, my second concert ever, first concert with my dad. Shout out Doc Hastings. And he had to explain to me what it was. And that's the night that a couple guys near us tried to get my dad to go buy him beer. But I don't have that story. First time you ever smelled pot, it was because of Willie Nelson. That's awesome. That's perfect. I cannot. All right. Sandman did it. Hang on. Where is it, Sandman? Where is it? I hate to be this way. But, all right, hang on. Sandman says he gave a super chat. Why do I not see it? Oh, no, it's going to be, don't tell me this is going to be one of those ones I don't see. Hang on. Oh, my God. We'll get it. Don't worry. We'll get it. I will not leave you. I will not leave you, Sandman, without it. If you indeed threw in a little bit, I just want a little, hang on. That's weird. Okay. Here we go. Where is it? No. Okay. Once again, I'm not seeing it. All right. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to believe you. I will believe you. Trust me, it's there. Okay. Yeah. And then a smile. Oh, it's the Sandman super chat. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. For the Sandman, he's devoted. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I see. It's a Sandman super chat. Okay. $1.99 US. Here's the only reason that you're going to get a little bit is because of the matchup that's coming up.
Because it's the Catholics and the criminals. You know what I'm saying? Because those no good dirty bastards are coming from Florida, and they're coming to play God's team. And they're coming to play God's team with a bad team. Let me say, it's one thing when you play God's team with a good team. You play God's team with a bad team, you are in some god-awful mess right there. That's Notre Dame by about 50. What's the line? 28? Lay it. Lay it, because God's team's going to destroy them. That's not good. You're going to get your ass whooped. That's going to happen.
All right, there you go. There it is. There it is. Even a Sandman super chat got that done. Thank you, Sandman. Love you too. Maybe Sandman will be out at TCH Social Austin this week, or maybe Sandman's headed to the game. Whatever you want to do, we hope y'all have a great weekend. Quick reminder again, let's throw this graphic up because our man Tyler and Jalen and the graphics crew made it up. Ooh, they went with the Screaming Taff on one side. Beer special start an hour before kick. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. I recommend the jellyfish and then chase it with a Stella. It's not bad. I also did the love fish, the jellyfish with the Love Street. I might even try the beer. Maybe go Stella first. Go Stella fish. Go Stella first and then hit the jellyfish. It's good. Jellyfish works as a first or a second. It can bat first. It can bat second. It doesn't matter. Come on out and see us. Jason Suchomel and I will be there for a watch party and the post game. We'll be checking out the game on this beautiful screen. We'll get him to dial up some other games. It's a good time. And when that post game show is done, yeah, he and I might be just hanging out, watching games. You got the 2:30 kick for Georgia and Ole Miss, and it is a 6:30 Bama LSU game in Death Valley. What else is happening? Oklahoma, Missouri is 6:45. You got to peek in on that one, right? See if they can get it done. Oregon trying to handle business at Maryland is a 6 o'clock. I mentioned Holy War is 9:15. There's good stuff all throughout the day, and obviously our focus will be Texas and Florida at 11 a.m. Can the Longhorns get that offense clicking against the Florida Gators? We shall see. One other quick chat before we get out of here. Rock Drum says, one of my favorite helmets was the Michigan State bronze helmet uni combo. Rock Drums, I could not disagree with you more. One of the most frustrating things I've watched as a uniform and helmet guy is Michigan State losing their minds. Losing their ever-loving minds with that weird, there's been bronze. I don't know if this is the one they went with one. It looked like what would happen if a robot got cut and actually bled. It feels like that's what the color of the blood would be. And it was gross. I didn't like it at all. Green with white. That's how I grew up. You can go white with green. Even the black has looked okay, but that bronze stuff, no. I'm not with you on that one. I am not with you on that Michigan State. Finally got the Michigan State helmet in the Hall of Helmets. I was excited about that. I dig it. But we went with the green with the white Spartan. We went with the low white is what we did. Kids, look up Lorenzo White, one of my favorite running backs of all time that did not play for one of my teams. One of the biggest and Oilers fans. Y'all remember low white? Lorenzo was a badass back in the day at Michigan State. All right. Appreciate all the attention for the Hall of Helmets today and what we may need to add for the playoff. I hope I do, because I always get happy if I had to, especially if I have a reason, like a business reason to go and, get more helmets. That's fantastic. Thank you guys for jumping in. Over 700 of you in the Specs chat as we get ready to close up here. A reminder, 6 o'clock this evening is your Football with Friends. They were talking about the rankings yesterday. Tonight at 8:30, we will hit the Outsiders. Somehow, I'm still on top of the rankings. Join us at 8:30. Find out if I've got some more road candy this week. Spoiler alert, one of the three is some road candy. We will get to that tonight on the Outsiders and talk about Texas trying to get that train rolling a little more smoothly, coming off the bye week and getting ready for Florida. Also, there's a cool tailgate that's happening that involves Chance and the Arch Public guys, some former teammates of his. They're putting something together. We'll get you the details on that tonight during Outsiders as well. Old Fashioned tomorrow at 9. Prize Pick show is tomorrow at 10. And JD, God, I hope so. I have no reason to believe otherwise. As soon as we're done, I will double check with Brian. But yes, we hope that Brian Jones of CBS Sports will be joining us. And I didn't peek at that earlier. What's that CBS? They are Michigan, Indiana this week for the 2:30. So can Indiana keep it rolling? Because you know what's coming is Indiana at Ohio State. This Ohio State team, I overcooked them last week in terms of overall what they do to Penn State. They won the game, but there is a shakiness to them. Can Indiana go in there and actually expose them a little bit? Maybe win that game? I don't know, but Indiana's got to handle business against the other side of that rivalry this week. Michigan at Indiana is the CBS 2:30. Thank you, JD, for reminding me. I'm going to send that message right now to Brian. Hopefully, we will have him tomorrow, usually about 1:20, somewhere in there for Brian. And hopefully, Ketch will be back tomorrow as well. I know some of y'all were asking about him in the chat. Frankly, I think it's a bit of a combo of some work stuff he's got to do. And y'all know he's been missing Wednesday shows lately. That sometimes he's had some meetings to do, and it's the only time he can get it together. But yesterday, man, he was going through it. We had our meeting, we had our group, OB weekly meeting, and he fought off throwing up like three times during that meeting. He'd already done the 10 o'clock show, and then he did our show yesterday. So I think his body just has to recover from all that. Hopefully he'll be back tomorrow, and we will get you another House Divided. Y'all have a great one. Make sure to check out Football with Friends this evening. Check out all the great content that you might have missed. Remember to like, subscribe, get your notifications. If you didn't like it on the way in, make sure you like the show on the way out. We do appreciate it. Y'all have yourselves a good Wednesday. Take